Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, and we battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time, according to two film geeks from Wiltshire, England. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review and subscribe. Hello, film fans. I'm afraid I have to announce a little boo-boo this week. As last week I said,
boo-boo.
We'll be doing Zack Snyder films. And I realised, oh shit, no it's not. It's Tom Holland films. So, yeah, this week we're doing Tom Holland films as his new film, working with the Russo brothers again, hits Apple TV Plus, called Cherry. So we'll be picking our favourite Tom Holland movies.
Yeah.
My pick, then, is one of Tom Holland's first appearances on screen, and that's The Impossible from 2012 with Naomi Watts and Ewan McGregor. It's a true story of real events that happened on Boxing Day in Thailand, of a massive tsunami that hit a resort there, which took many lives, and it follows a Spanish family in real life, but in this it's an English family, as the film says, the title says, an impossible situation that they're in, and how these characters come back and reunite. It's quite as they say, an impossible story really that came true, which is quite remarkable. How do you feel about this film? I found it incredibly hard to watch at times. I had to pause at one bit.
Yeah. No, I paused several times, made myself like 4 or 5 lunches or whatever just to get my mind off of it, you know. It needs to... it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's called The Impossible. It's almost impossible to watch, really. It's just, it's really... Yeah, it's really quite something. I don't know if this is this revenge for me suggesting The Hunt? Because that was really difficult to watch.
No.
And now I'm watching this, and this was really difficult to watch. Yeah. Even more so, I would say. Like, it's a lot bleaker and a lot more, it's quite real.
Yeah, let's go straight into it then with directing. You know, this film is directed by J.A. Bayona. Yeah, he did the second Jurassic World film, Fallen Kingdom. Unfortunately, that wasn't great for viewing for me, but...
No, yeah, definitely my least favourite Jurassic film. But I think that was the fault of the script, not so much the directing. I think it was directed well. So.
No, yeah. But certainly this film shows off his incredible directing talent, for sure. And I quite like the fact at the start, with the Chinese lantern party at the resort, it's quite emotional, actually, because it doesn't pretend that, you know, this is made up. It's very much recognises that this is a true story, and you get a very nice, slow piano music, makes it quite emotional, you know, realising that, you know, this is a true story. We're not creating suspense here, you know, and it was quite a nice way to recognise that it wasn't, you know, just this family that went through a terrible ordeal. There was a lot of families involved in this, you know, and obviously all across the Indian Ocean, of course. I think 300,000 people lost their lives during the events. And it was just a nice moment of a few shots of other families around the table during that party, just to recognise those families, which I thought was quite a nice touch. Doesn't pretend to say that, you know, the audience doesn't know about this story because it was all over the news, you know.
Yeah, it definitely did a good job, setting it up. It seems quite believable. You see them on the plane to start with. Thought that was quite a dramatic opening, you know. As the plane flies by, and it just seems very kind of, you know, very sort of, you know, they're even scared of that, and you can tell the dad, he's constantly worrying, and everybody's worrying. Yeah, I could tell, when the tsunami came, it's going to be pretty intense, just because a simple plane flight is shot like with such intensity that you think, oh, that's a serious thing. That's just a plane flight. Wait till you get to the actual tsunami. I mean, that's just crazy. But,
yeah, the tsunami scene, my God, that was quite remarkable. There's not much build up, really. There's not much, suspense building. It just the style of directing that Bayona goes with is very much. It just shows things happening, if you know what I mean. There's certainly a strong element of documentary style here, but certainly with the tsunami scene, there's a great wide shot of like Tom Holland just like in the center of the screen, and you just see all these palm trees just collapsing, which are behind, the resort building, and you just see them fall one by one, and you're just like, oh my God. And then when the wave hits, it's just you get this huge sense of awe, and you're like, oh wow, that's looks massive, and then all hell breaks loose after that.
Yeah, it doesn't wait around. It's not doesn't slowly get you into it. It's just it hits. I did like I wouldn't say it was so much like in a lot of films, like a lot of foreshadowing. I mean, you knew it was going to happen. They can't like foreshadow it for the first half an hour. You know it's going to happen. But, you've got these little scenes with the characters just in the plane and in the hotel room where, and them outside, playing, where they're short and concise, but they seem quite real and genuine, and the family cares for them, and you get a lot of kind of little exposition about their lives and stuff. And I like just before the tsunami hit, there are just little things that happen really quickly, and then the tsunami hits, where it's like there's a more of a pickup of a gust of wind, and all of her papers go flying, and she's scrambling about.
The glass wall,
it hits the glass wall and sticks because the wind is like pushing it quite a lot. And then you have all the birds just fuck off, and then like the trees start wobbling, and you're like, what? And then it just comes. Nobody has any time to like comprehend what's going on.
No. And I really like the just before it hits Naomi Watts' character Maria, it cuts to black, and then it's just as if they literally put a camera in the waves. And just let it go. I would hate to be the guy just trying to fish out the camera after that. It's like, where did it go? Oh, I think it went over there. No, further away. Over there.
It's in the Philippines somewhere. It's
just that incredible POV shot.
Yeah.
I think they actually built like a massive water tank to release a shit tons of gallons of water. Onto the set, and then you follow Maria and Lucas's character. Lucas played by Tom Holland, and it's just so intense and relentless. A lot of quick cuts, a lot of fast moving cameras, and the acting from those two as well is amazing. And then Watts gets like stabbed by some branches. There's just like a puff of blood, and I audibly gasped, because it was just so sudden, no build up at all. It's just so intense and unrelenting. I mean, certainly after that, when they finally land on the broken palm tree, I had to pause it and take a breather.
Yeah,
really, I was like, fuck it now.
Yeah,
whew.
Yeah, it was really intense.
And when the scene where they're walking through the reeds, and it's all kind of like handheld, and then all of a sudden you see like this horrible wound on Maria's leg, and it's just like skin hanging off. Again, I audibly said, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, I also had to stop there.
I was like, "Oh shit!"
That was a bit much. I was like, Jesus, her leg is basically hanging off.
Yeah, there's no traditional tension building. It's just, here you go. This is what happened. The camera just points down to the leg, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
She didn't even notice it. She
great makeup.
Yeah. She's probably in so much shock, that didn't even feel it until he kind of mentioned it. Oh man, it was quite a lot of great prosthetics or makeup or whatever for the gore in it. It's very realistic. I like the shot where they were going up to find a tree, to stay on.
Oh yeah,
and it has like a wide shot of just all the devastation, and like even focusing on like the minute things, like there's bits of rubble and debris and car parts and what have you, just stuff, and like a crab walking across it, and then just a shot of like all of this devastation, but like with a fish like quite close to the camera, and it's like struggling to breathe. It was
like a dead sheep as well.
Yeah, dead sheep. It was just very haunting. It was like, whoa,
wouldn't it have been nice to be a bird?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Those lucky
fuckers.
I remember there's an interesting shot just after that scene where they get help from the locals, and like Maria's just being dragged along, and again like she's screaming so much, and then all of a sudden you go straight on her eyes, like right up close to her eyes, in an extreme close-up shot, and all the music, all the sound effects cuts out, and it's just music, and it's just like you get this sense for Maria that is she going to make it through this? It's the start of this narrative for Maria, because she's injured, quite severely. In the shot, it's just on her eyes, and you just think, hang on. I mean, is she going to get through this? This looks really bad, and her eyes just don't flinch at all. And again, the makeup's really good. Did you notice that?
Yeah, definitely.
I get that feeling.
Yeah, I got that feeling. I got that feeling through many points in the film that she was just going to die. Like up until really the last scene, I was like, yeah, she's going to die. It kept making me feel that. Yeah. It's like, yeah, she just does not look good, and she looks worse and worse and worse. Especially, do you remember the scene where he lost her, where he found that father's son in the hospital and then went back and then she's gone. Yeah. And you don't see her again for a good long while, like maybe 10 or 15 minutes as he's trying to find her. Can't find her. And it's a bloody long time. And I was like, yeah, she's dead. But, it was like 15 or 20 minutes of like, Tom Holland, he can't find her. Yeah.
Maria asks him to like go and help. In the hospital, do what you can, and he's he's collecting all these names, and he finally reunites one of the Swedish son and their father, and he's really happy, and he wants to go tell his mum, and then when he gets back to her bed, she's gone, and Tom Holland is so brilliant in that, going from like happiness to dread and then anger, and then the nurse has to take him out because he's just so devastated. He's like, no, my mum was here, where is my mum? It was horrible. But I think the scene that really was incredibly shocking for me was moments before that, when there's a patient next to Maria in the hospital, and she's basically in shock. She's just very unresponsive with her eyes open, and she starts coughing, and then Maria starts coughing as well, and then it cuts between them, and then Lucas is just, and all this gunk is coming out of both of their mouths, and then Lucas like turns away, and the focus is on Lucas, and Maria in the background is like pulling all this string and wire out of her mouth. I was like, oh, please stop. It was horrible, because it was all in like out of focus as well, so it's just... It's just like, just try and keep your eyes on Tom Holland if you can. I bet you can't. That scene was just like, oh my god, that made me gasp out loud.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes like that.
Did you gasp out loud in that scene?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I thought she, again, it's one of these scenes where I thought, yep, she's done for. But it was really intense, and it was quite anxiety inducing, And you could tell he didn't really know what to do. It was quite a lot, yeah.
And the sequence where the family reunites is quite emotional, because it takes like so damn long for them to find each other in the hospital. There's a lot of like flowing camera shots of going from Ewan McGregor to Tom Holland, and his brothers to Tom Holland coming out of the hospital. And there's a lot of like swirling camera shots around Tom Holland, and some great POV stuff. And then when they do finally reunite, it's just so satisfying a feeling. I think Bayona and the actors do an incredible job there.
Especially because, like, none of them know that they're all at the same hospital. It's all, like, a coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just, like, how they nearly see each other all the time and stuff like that. It's just, it is quite unnerving. It takes a long time before Tom Holland just shouts really loud, "Dad!" And then you see...
Yeah,
you see that they all find each
literally
other.
on the top of his voice,
and I love that how when he does that, it's not his dad that answers, but his brothers, and they're behind him, and you see they're literally just behind him, and it focuses on him and them. Oh shit, they're there. They're like Thomas, Lucas, and then the dad comes as well. Yeah, it was really good.
You got a favorite shot or scene?
I would say my favorite shot, one, because it came out of nowhere. Two, in retrospect, it looks amazing. Three, I suppose, it kind of is a very hopeful scene, I guess, is when she goes for her operation, and then I thought it came out of nowhere because I didn't think we were going to get any more of the actual tsunami scene. I was like, that's over and done with.
Yeah, same, yeah.
But just before, because they ask her as she's under surgery, think positive thoughts. Think happy thoughts or whatever, and you have it spliced between they're cutting into her flesh, into her leg, and doing all these operations and stuff, and what she's thinking, which is the tsunami, and you see basically from her point of view when the tsunami actually hit her, because it cuts in that it cuts in the first act when it actually does hit her, it cuts to black, and then you see the aftermath. And then she's trying to survive with Tom Holland. But it kind of fills in that scene. Like, you see, she got hit, she got thrown through glass. It was so, like, whoa, it was another round of just absolutely insanity.
Hit you in the face with horrible visuals.
Yeah. She gets thrown around like a rag doll. I mean, you already see her brutalized at the first part. This is apparently what she went through even before that. She's just... tossed and turned around, goes deep, breaks into things, breaks into walls, gets stabbed several times even before you've seen all this. But my favourite shot is where she actually comes up for air, and it's almost like, the surgery is also finished. The surgery's finished, and she bursts out with her hand and her body and stuff.
Bursts out the water.
Yeah, and I love that. Just symbolically, it kind of ties the movie together. I think narratively, it's like, she's been through all this hell, and then... boom! But she came out of it just as she's coming out of this surgery, and just it just looks like an amazing shot, especially when she pops out.
Because all the light is just beautiful.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. When she pops out, it just looks it's like a picture of heaven, after just that complete hell that you were just seeing. Well, most of the film, complete hell.
The light twinkling in the water.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Splashes. It's great. Yep. That's my favourite shot as well. So that saves some time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, because with the structure of that sequence, because when you come out of that sequence, Tom Holland opens his eyes, not Maria. So for me, it was kind of just like, oh, whose dream, was it a dream sequence or not? But who was actually thinking that or dreaming that? Was it Tom or was it Maria? Because they mention a lot, the line that they keep coming back to is just close your eyes and think of something nice, which obviously in this film is, I guess they're saying it's incredibly hard to do that with such trauma that they've gone through. So it's just interesting that maybe they were both kind of, dreaming about the same thing of their own experiences, but you go through Maria's perspective in that moment. So I thought that was really interesting. So score for directing.
Fucking hell. Yeah, it was... I think the camera work, the visuals, how everything's handled, the set design, everything, it's just... it makes it just a lot more impactful, a lot more real, And it's quite emotional. So, yeah, maybe like 9.5.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair score, actually. It's very high, but very fair. Certainly Bayona has this respect in the story, knowing that this is a true story, and he uses incredible flowing camera shots and creates incredible intensity during the tsunami sequence, and you don't get a moment to breathe as an audience member watching it for long moments in the film. And he certainly mixes this documentary style as well to make it as real as possible. You know, because I suspect during the actual events it would have been 100 times worse, I suspect. Yeah, I'll go the same, actually. 9.5. I think it's incredibly well done. Right, let's go on to screenplay then. It's interesting how this film is structured, actually, after the tsunami sequence, because you follow Maria and Lucas first for a while, and then, like, at the halfway point, then we follow Henry, Ewan McGregor's character, and the two younger sons, Thomas and Simon. Because normally in a film like this, you'd probably intercut it a bit more, you know, go back to, you know, more times with other characters, if you know what I mean. What did you think of that?
So my kind of, you know, because they never intercut between them before that moment, I basically assumed, like Lucas, that, you know, his dad is dead, his brothers are dead. And I think it was probably more effective, you know, and then, boom, they're alive. It's like, you know, Ewan McGregor just gets up, and I was like, what the hell? And then I thought, well, maybe his brothers are still dead, and then Ewan McGregor, you know, finds the boys, he's got the boys. And then it goes on from there with a very protracted scene where he's, you know, trying to find his wife and other son, and meets other people, and he's traveling and what have you. And I kind of actually sort of preferred that. So it could have intercut, and I could have been seeing everybody's point of view and had a more realistic picture. But I think the benefit of leaving it as like a halfway sort of twist or reveal is you're more on board with Tom Holland and his mother, you know, Lucas and his mother, their point of view. From their point of view, the rest of their family is dead, you know. And you definitely can follow him and believe this journey he's going through. He's lost a parent. He's probably going to lose another one. She's in very bad shape. I think where you actually see Ewan McGregor and the other two sons, it kind of flipped it on its head for me, because I was like, I still had the suspense. I was like, okay, his dad is dead. His brothers are dead. I can't believe they got rid of Ewan McGregor that quickly. The halfway point, it seemed like his mother was going to die, you know, or she had died, you know. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think at this point, you know, she's basically disappeared, like her bed has been given up or whatever, and he can't find her.
Yeah.
And I assume she's dead, and then it's like, oh, well, his mother's dead. And then it's like, what? Okay, his father is alive, and it's almost like a parent trade. So I was like, so that's how I kind of saw it. That's how I kind of saw it. It was like, oh shit, you know, he's familyless, and then it's like, well, surprise, his father is alive. Surprise, his brothers are alive. And then a little later, his mother is alive. So it just felt like, in the midway point, it was like the bleakest that it could possibly get. And then it's, you get this you get small glimmers of hope, and it sort of crescendos around the film. So I kind of see why that was done narratively in my point of view. I think it's sort of added
definitely to that. Yeah, doing it this way, you know, the director can play with your emotions a bit more, I guess. Yeah. As you said, you know, you're at rock bottom at the midpoint. You're like, oh God, what the hell is Tom Holland going to do now? And then you get the reveal of Ewan McGregor and the sons still being alive. But I guess there is another element of, obviously, when they're gathering the research on this, that, you know, Henry, Simon and Thomas may not have remembered much until in that point in the story. I don't know. So maybe they were kind of forced into it anyway. I'm not sure, because I certainly suspect they didn't want to make anything up in this story. So
well, I'd have to, like, I suppose, really read up or research on the actual family story. Even in, like, really, you know, true to life horrific events, you have to leave out something, because, you know, otherwise, you know, life is very complicated. You know, you'd have to make this a series, I think, to really delve into all the minutiae. But it does seem very real. It does seem very, very true.
I really like the bit when Lucas and Maria do reunite, and then Lucas basically shouts to his mum, "Never do that to me again, mum. You know, never do that to me again." And it's like he's saying, you know, never leave me. He's really trying to say, never leave me. again, Mum, because for a second there he thought, she was dead. I thought it was quite a good line for Tom Holland there. I also really, really like the scene with Ewan McGregor when he asked this American couple, "Oh, can I call home?" But then they're like, "No, they don't have much battery. The battery's about to die." And I just felt so frustrated for Ewan McGregor because obviously he's covered in bruises and cuts, and this American couple, there's like not a scratch on them. I'm just like, seriously, dude, give him your fucking phone. Seriously. What are you doing?
And then how he comes across...
Made me really pissed off.
How he comes across the other guy whose leg is in a brace and he gives him his phone. And I love that scene because the first call is like to his family abroad and stuff. Just make sure that they know he's all right. And he's just like, I can't... he just breaks down. He's like... We're fine, but...
I've never seen you and McGregor that emotional.
Yeah, man,
He's
that was
incredible.
really intense. Really intense, yeah. Yeah, just really crying, just shaking, and he just can't keep himself together. And he's just crying on the phone that, he's lost his wife and...
It'd be interesting to know how many takes they did with that, because I think with something like that, usually it can take up a lot of takes to get there. But also, it's really skilled for me, really skilled acting to get to that emotional place.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I was just saying, like, I like how he does that and hangs up, and then the guy, because he's not got much battery on his phone, is like, you can't end it like that. Like, call him up, and he kind of injects more hope into it. And he's like, yeah, I will find them.
Yeah, I love that bit.
It's really good, very effective scene.
You got a favourite line?
There are quite a few actually. I think. Well, not like a load. It's not one of these films where it's like every line is like, it sounds like a Hollywood
quotable
thing. Yeah, it's not like quotable. It's kind of like regular conversations. It's like how people talk. They don't say things that are amazingly quotable all the time. There are a few though. So when Tom Holland says to his mum, like I thought I was the brave one, but I'm scared. I quite like that.
Yeah.
Mainly because...
And then his mum says, like, "Oh, I'm scared too."
Yeah, I thought that was really good. Mainly because they've established at that point, like, in the plane, it's shaking like hell, like, on their way to, to their holiday destination. The plane shaking. And, like, Tom is completely not scared at all. Lucas is not scared. His brothers are fucking... whinging or whatever. His mother comes to him and is like, "You've got to be nice to your brothers." And it's like... he gets scared,
whatever.
and then she's like freaking out from the turbulence, and he's like, "I wonder where he gets that from," like being scared. But then you get that scene where it was like, yeah, fucking hell. So you've already established this kid is hard as nails, and he's absolutely terrified. So I like that. I like that line. Oh man, there are quite a few. When the two little boys are talking to that woman about stars and what have you. Like he's looking up at the stars.
Oh yeah.
I like that where he's just like...
I was trying to work out why that scene was put in there. I was just like, what's the meaning here? I'm not entirely sure.
But I did just like the line mainly. It's so she was talking about the stars and what have you. She said, "Did you know like some of them have passed away a long time ago?" And something like the light is old. The light is very old or something. The boy says something like, "They're dead, aren't they?" And I was just like, what? What's he talking about? The stars are like his family, and I quite like that line. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think mine, I mentioned it already, but just close your eyes and think of something nice.
Yeah.
I think that kind of ties the whole thing together with that, that intercut scene with Maria in surgery and her tumbling through the water again. That whole sense of you can't get this, these characters are trying so hard to stay positive and keep their hope alive and think of something nice where, trying to fight back their trauma. I think that's quite a nice line to tie the film together, really. So score, Boaz, for The Impossible.
I'm going to go like 8.9.
I think this one is going to score very highly.
Yeah.
Could be in the top 5, I reckon. Yeah, I really like this screenplay. I think, it's a very brave way, as we've said, how the film is structured, how you just follow Lucas and Maria through the first half of the film, then second half you follow Henry, Simon and Thomas. which is quite refreshing. I do feel, you mentioned the scene on the start of the plane, like some of the dialogue between Ewan McGregor and Maria is a bit clunky for me, but I've seen a hell of a lot worse than that. I didn't quite buy it to start off with, but apart from that, a really amazing script. So I'll go 8.4, I think, for script. Acting. There are some incredible performances in this. When Lucas and Maria are discussing whether to help, the little boy, Daniel, and, the boy is just shouting for help, and Lucas shouts at his mum saying, Simon and Thomas are dead, and then there's this incredible moment from Watts where there's a long pause, and it's just like, you can just see the sadness and shock on her face, that she's just contemplating for a second that he could be right, but he doesn't want to say it to Tom, to Lucas. And then she says, even if it's the last thing we do, let's go and help this kid, which I thought are just incredible from both of those two in that scene.
Yeah.
And then when they climb the tree, fuck me, there's so much screaming in agony in this film. I'm just like, oh my God. I don't know whether the speakers were really high on my headphones, but it just seemed really loud. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. And also quite good auditioning for Spider-Man for Tom Holland during that scene as well.
What, climbing a tree?
Climbing a tree. Yeah. It's like, yeah, that guy's good. He's strong enough to help.
Yeah.
Naomi Watts climb a tree.
Oh my God.
Let's get that guy, Russo used to say.
Do you know Spider-Man does have a water-themed villain? They should have made that the next Hydro Man. Yeah, that should have been the. Oh shit! Actually, in Far From Home, we're going to talk about him fighting a water monster. Oh my God! All right. Segue.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. Now you've just given it. Well, I mean, they know it's. I write it in the title of the episode, so
yeah, exactly.
Anyway. There's a moment at the end of the tree scene where the kid, Daniel, is just stroking Maria's arm, and there's a nice moment between Maria and Lucas where they're kind of like smiling to each other, and it's just a nice moment of just a small moment of happiness and hope. It's just really... I suspect that wasn't in the script, actually, because obviously this kid is like 4 or 5 years old or something, maybe something like that. Just playing with Naomi Watts' arm, it's just a nice moment of hope and happiness, really, which I quite liked. Tom Holland, for me, is my favourite performance, I think, because when I was picking, because he's still very young, and he hasn't got many films under his belt, and I wasn't sure whether Tom Holland was actually going to be the lead in this, but it's certainly very much an ensemble piece. And I would probably say he gets the most screen time, actually.
Yeah.
Tom Holland. But there's a really interesting moment from him near the end.
Naomi Watts gets the most scream time. Sorry, I just had to do that.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yeah. She certainly does.
Yeah, I got to inject some humour into this, because this is quite bleak so far.
Yeah, it's a very emotional film.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But Maria asked Tom Holland for the second time near the end, like, what colour is her leg? And Lucas looks at it, and there's certainly very subtle changes of expression in his face. And then he turns back to Maria and he says, yeah, it's red. But instantly that he's lying, because obviously you don't see the leg. And it's just really amazing acting from Tom Holland, just to try and, hear what... give Maria what she wants to hear, just to keep that hope alive. Just a really, really great subtle moment from Tom Holland.
Yeah, I agree.
Who's your favourite performance?
Yeah, Tom, I reckon. Yeah, Tom Holland.
Tom as well. Score then for acting?
It's got to be quite high up there, I reckon. Yeah, probably like a 9.
Yeah, I would probably agree, actually. I think the acting is extra. I mean, Ewan McGregor as well. My God, I don't think I've seen him as good as this in a long time. Tom Holland, amazing. Naomi Watts, amazing. they're just all, even the kid. I mean, I've complained about child acting in the past with the movies we've covered, but this definitely is the best child acting I've seen in a long time. Yeah. They're all amazing. Yeah. So I'd go like 9.2, I think. Cool. Let's add up the scores for The Impossible. 54.5. That's pretty high.
That's really high.
Your film then, Boaz. What is your film?
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Yeah, it's that's correct. It's Batman. No.
Oh, cool. Batman Far From Home.
Far From Home, yeah. Yeah, in the wrong cinematic universe. But yeah, Spider-Man. Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah, and obviously there's been some recent news about the title of the new film. It's going to be called Spider-Man Home Slice.
What? What the hell are you talking about?
No, or is it...
It's No More Home.
Home Wrecker.
No.
Home Wrecker.
No. What the hell are you talking about?
No, Phone Home? Is that right?
It's No More Home, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
No More Home? What the hell? No, you're wrong there.
No, I'm not.
No Way Home.
Is it No Way Home?
Yeah, Mysterio just knocked down his house.
Yeah, of course he did. Came in like a tsunami.
No More Home. Yeah, you don't have a home anymore, Spider-Man. Screw you.
Yeah. Okay, No Way Home. Same difference.
Yeah. No, I'm just... Because the cast did a load of pranks about fake titles.
Yeah.
So Zendaya said Home Slice. Jacob said, who plays Ned, said Home Wrecker, and Tom Holland said Phone Home.
I like that.
Before the official release.
Yeah.
So
I like that one.
Anyway.
It needed to be... they should have called it Home Alone. It needed to be Home Alone. I know there's probably a whole legal thing, but, you know, it would have been...
I would watch that, to be fair.
I would. Like, there was one guy that commented, like, over a year ago or something on what the Spider-Man title should be, and he got loads of likes and stuff, and just his description of the plot, I thought, I would totally watch that, and it was like, Spider-Man Home Alone, Spider-Man has to caretake the Avengers Mansion, and... you know, while they're all gone on a mission, and the Sinister Six tries to break in, and he has to set up traps and shit to keep them from coming in. And I was like, I'd 100% watch that. That would be the best film in the world.
Web grenades everywhere.
Yeah, web grenades.
Web grenades.
It would be amazing. Just incredible. Yeah, they should do that.
Yeah.
You know, he could have Macaulay Culkin as like a sidekick or something.
And obviously Tom Holland is being very coy about whether, you know, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to have cameos or have proper roles in this third film.
Yeah.
Do you believe him? Because he said they're definitely not in it.
I think they're going to be in it. Do you
reckon?
Yeah. I think there's enough evidence that they've talked to them and they're negotiating with them. I don't know exactly how big their role is going to be. They might it might all end up being a sort of post-credit thing and not actually something in the movie to set up a...
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I just think the thing is that they're juggling quite a lot here, and I don't want it to get overstuffed. I mean, already you have it, you know, a Spider-Man, basically, it's a fugitive film. It's going to be that anyway because of the end of this film that we're going to talk about. So it's a fugitive film. He's on the run. It might be a build-up for a Sinister Six movie, so it might have the Sinister Six in it. There's all these, they're talking about, you know, Jamie Foxx and Alfred Molina, his Dr. Octopus and Electro and stuff, and perhaps Kraven and the Vulture, you know. So you're already building up a Sinister Six thing. You've got, like, Doctor Strange in it. You've got this, you got that. So I don't want it to be, like, a bit too much, you know. I do definitely want a Spider-Verse film, but not if it's gonna like detract from too much going on, you know.
You don't want a 4-hour film.
Yeah, well, or at the very least, I don't want a film which it just feels a bit too rushed. It's like the first, 20 minutes is a chase film. The first next 20 minutes, like he's doing a Sinister Six film. The next 20 minutes is. I don't want that. I mean, it could pull off all of these storylines. It depends how they do it. I would definitely love to see it be a Spider-Verse film, a live-action one.
I would be happy just with a proper Sinister Six film.
Yeah.
You know, Yeah, we'll see what happens, I think. Anyway, let's get back on track. So tell me what happens in Spider-Man Far From Home, Mr. Encyclopedia Man.
So it occurs just after Endgame, Avengers Endgame. Him and his class go on a school trip across Europe, and at the same time that this is happening, elemental creatures are attacking, like, the world, basically, like different cities in the world, especially around Europe at the same time. So Spider-Man basically almost fumbles into this. It's not like something he wanted to really do. He didn't want to be Spider-Man. He just wanted to go on vacation with his school, tell this girl he quite likes, MJ, that he fancies her and stuff. But then he is pushed into this adventure in Europe, far from home, away from the United States. I think narratively it's a way to not get, because the main problem I've always seen with films set after the first Avengers, solo films, is like, why the hell do not the Avengers deal with this? Like, it never really made any sense, why you get so many solo films. I think this one is just to construct a narrative reason why they can't. It's like, he is not in America, where basically 99.9% of all superheroes are located, So he gets involved in this. There's a new superhero on the town called Mysterio, who is helping him take down these elemental creatures. He takes them down, and surprise, spoilers, Mysterio turns out to be evil. All of his powers are in fact fake. The creatures are in fact fake, and he's doing all of this to win.
It's an illusion.
It's all illusions and robots and stuff. To get Spider-Man, this bit of technology that Spider-Man inherited from Tony Stark after he died. Yeah, so Spider-Man finds this out. They go to London. They have a giant fight, and he kicks his ass, and but gets framed for like the destruction and stuff.
Murder.
Yeah, yeah. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Let's go straight into directing then. This is directed by John Watts, who did a little film called Cop Car first with Kevin Bacon. Have you seen that? It's quite good. Yeah. It's very low scale, very low budget, but it's really cool. He did the first one, Homecoming, as well. But I feel like he doesn't do anything particularly special with the camera. Yeah. He basically shows you the action just really fluidly and doesn't do anything particularly spectacular for me, and which I think is a confident way of directing, really. As in, he's very confident in the CGI, that it's amazing. Let the visual effects do their thing, and I think sometimes that's a really good thing to do. You don't have pressure to try and make this film really work, and the script's really great as well. But I really liked the Hydra Man attack, the build up, because I think if you look really closely, you can tell that with the water trails that they are drones going through the canals of Venice. And the fight is just really awesome and spectacular with Hydra Man. And Peter twatting himself twice on the giant bell is quite funny too.
That was funny. Yeah. No, it was a hell of a fight. I really like the action in this film. Like,
it's huge.
It's just enormous scale, and to be honest, it's kind of what it needs, because if you're comparing a solo film with just one hero, like Spider, exactly, you've got to come after Endgame, and Endgame is like. It's literally throwing everything at the wall. You've got hundreds of superheroes and time travel and aliens and shit. That if they made it kind of less fantastical, then it's going to be a bit of a disappointment. But it proper goes like balls to the walls, really insane. Especially in the midpoint, the fight scene between a revealed Mysterio. I could talk about that forever. That's one of my favorite fight scenes in like the MCU.
What, with the lava dude?
No. When he actually fights Mysterio for the first time. There's so much action in the film.
Oh right.
All of these fight scenes are really good. Definitely. I think I can't like talk so much about like the camera work as you were saying. Like nothing special or spectacular happens. It's just competently directed. There aren't like any standout shots with the camera where you're like wow, or any kind of cool transitions or anything like that. I will say where it really shines is like the CGI. Obviously, CGI is top notch. It's going to be, and I would also say choreography when it comes to the fight scenes, because at the end of the day, like this is an action film,
especially in London.
Yeah, the choreography.
Yeah, the scene in London's just really well done. The way he jumps into the illusion and he's jumping from all the drones, and then he's swinging around Tower Bridge, you know, connecting all the drones together and stuff. It's really cool.
Okay. I will add that for the camera work, how it goes from the point of view of various drones as he's fighting into cut and shit like that. It just looks really nice, and how the camera follows him around as he's fighting and all this stuff. It's quite phonetic, but it's quite fluid. It's not like too much, but it's very fluid. You see what Spider-Man's doing. You see all. It really does give you a clear look at kind of, you know, all the stuff going on. And choreography-wise, for the fight scenes, I do think they are a definite improvement over Homecoming, which I do like Homecoming. But I would say, for me personally, that's like the only drawback for me for Homecoming. I'm like, I don't quite like the choreography. Spider-Man, you know, as you can probably tell, I'm a huge Spider-Man, thing. But I didn't like the choreography of Homecoming. It wasn't bad. It's just, you know, he could have done more. Right. And with this, the fight scenes are just so watchable. There's so much that goes on, you know.
I quite like the action in Homecoming, though. I thought it was a bit more creative, personally, in that film than in this one, Far From Home. You know, because there's certainly they're very creative with all the techie stuff in the suit. You know, with electric webs and the relationship he has with whoever the voice is
Karen,
in his head in the suit, which I really like that. Karen, or suit lady. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, I think, as you say, certainly a lot of films like this, and a lot of modern films, big blockbuster tentpoles, they have this style of just showing spectacular action with flowing cameras, because the technology is just remarkable now. But there's not a lot of like tension or suspense building. But the way this film does its action really works. You know, obviously it's got a massive budget, but with other films they try and do that. You know, just show the action, the spectacle, but sometimes it just doesn't really work. I'm just thinking like The Predator recently, they just show, you know, the spectacle of the action, and there's like no tension or suspense in that. It just doesn't work for me there. It should have gone down the route of tension and suspense building in that film, and not, you know, the spectacular stuff. But in Far From Home, it definitely works in that way for me. You know, I don't have a massive problem the fact that there's not a lot of tension building, because the action is so massive, and it's hilarious as well, this film.
So I would say, like, what I like, I'm not going to focus just entirely on the action, but I do like the action in this film. One thing I do like about the choreography in any fight that he's in is that it's almost like he's going to die within the first couple of minutes, and then it's like a constant bounce back. It's like, oh my god, no, Spider-Man, you're going to die, and then it's like he does something cool, and he's always in the action, but you do get this feeling like he is way over his head, like through all the fight scenes that he gets in, but he still manages to win the day. You know, it's just really cool.
One thing I have a massive problem with, though, in this film, you know what it is?
No, tell me.
It's the very, very poor health and safety of the rehearsals that Mysterio has after you know he's an illusion.
Yeah.
It's very poor. You know, there's no goggles, because he says, "Oh, double the damage on the drones," and they're all like right next to the pillars that get destroyed. I'm like, dude, you're going to kill like all your crew.
That would be an interesting ending.
A little, lot of rocks in their eyes.
It would be.
Where are the safety goggles and helmets?
I would have loved that as an ending. Like Spider-Man's like, oh, it's Mysterio all along. I've got to fight him and face him. And then as he's doing the rehearsal, bang, one of the pillars explodes, and then like just takes his head clean off. Yeah, it solved itself.
Yeah, he should have got defeated by lawsuits, to be fair, from his crew.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And the Dutch scenes are really weird. I was just like, what the fuck? I just felt like it was just a joke on Tom Holland, the fact that his surname is Holland.
Oh, okay. Jesus Christ. I never even bloody thought about that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I have never actually thought about that. They're all really nice when he goes to the Netherlands and stuff. That was I thought that was quite funny. Are they like the Canada of Europe? I don't even know.
I mean, I was expecting the tulip farmer to like run out with a big stick saying, "You've just crushed a load of my tulips, you bastards." You know.
Yeah. No, that was quite funny.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But my favourite shot, certainly, well, my favourite scene is, the big illusion fight in Berlin between Spider-Man and Mysterio. Yeah. It's just so cool, that bit. I think my favourite part is when you see a zombified Iron Man come out of his grave and the camera goes straight into, like, his eye socket, into his skull, and then, like, a jumper... Yes, a Spider-Man woolly jumper comes out.
Thanks, Mysterio. It's what I've always wanted.
Jumps out. A spider jumps out, and you see all of its eyes, and the eyes turn into Mysterio's helmets, and then there's like shit ton of Mysterios. I really adored that scene. It was great, and also the way like Mysterio uses the environment to his advantage, because like. Near the beginning, I think Mysterio is just standing there waiting for a punch.
Yeah, and it's a solid brick wall, yeah.
It's a pillar, you know.
Yeah, I love that, yeah. It's just amazing stuff like that.
And he inadvertently, like, pulls a crane nearly down on top of him.
Yeah, exactly, where he tries to drag him in and it's actually a crane. I like also where that fight scene is just so amazing because so much happens. And it's just amazing that it's only like 4 minutes or whatever, but it feels a lot longer. Really fluid. It's so much going on. You're like, whoa, this is such a good fight. It's so well choreographed. It's got so many, like when he drops Mary Jane, he's got like, or MJ, she's not even Mary Jane, where he drops Mary Jane from the MJ, fuck's sake, where he drops MJ from the Empire State Building, Zendaya or whatever. Not from the Empire State, from the Eiffel Tower. Shut your fucking mouth. Right. I'm getting confused. All right. From the Eiffel Tower. Yeah?
This is all an illusion.
Anyway, from the Eiffel Tower. And
yes, we're all in New York right now.
Yeah.
Not Wiltshire.
Yeah. But, you know, where he jumps off of the Eiffel Tower as well. That was a great use of the environment. I actually think it should have been at the end, you know. I thought it was just so good. Like, the end fight is really good, but, wow, the one in the middle, jeez. That was amazing.
The next illusion fight he has at the end, where he uses his Peter Tingle, which always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
You know, where they're at the top of Tower Bridge, and it's like the fighting style becomes a lot more aggressive and brutal because he kind of just grabs all these drones and like smashes them to pieces, and he grabs like some of the material of the drones and he uses them as weapons.
Yeah, he's like picking the guns.
And he's just like, fuck it, I'm just going to fucking smash these to pieces. Yeah. I'm not going to dodge them round, I'm going to be aggressive towards you.
And I love the whole, you know, it goes from the illusion, which is just an empty, just black void, to every time he destroys one, it's like, Tower Bridge, empty black void, Tower Bridge, empty. Yeah, it was amazing.
So what's your favourite shot or scene?
My favourite scene, hands down, is you know, the fight in Berlin, just the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Just amazing. My favourite shot is in that fight, probably where he's like trapped in Mysterio's helmet, like on the inside of his helmet.
Yeah, that's a great bit.
Like that, I have that comic cover.
Do you?
I have that cover. Yeah, and the fact that it's a scene in a film, I mean, that's just insane. And
I'm very jealous right now.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, I think that's probably my favourite shot. You know, just amazing.
Is that the one with Daredevil in it as well? I can't remember. I know there's a run with Daredevil and Mysterio.
Yeah, actually, that's the one I'm talking about. So I think there is a comic cover with Spider-Man in a Mysterio helmet, but I've got the one with Daredevil in a Mysterio helmet, which it looks like the same.
Oh right, okay.
Same comic cover. So yeah, so my mistake. I have the one where Daredevil is stuck in his helmet, you know, on the cover, and it looks really cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
So score for directing then for me is a difficult one. I think it is really good. I think for me the directing is a little bit better in Homecoming personally. So I'll probably go 8.6 for directing.
Okay.
How about you?
I think I'll go 8.7. 8.7.
Better than Homecoming, or do you prefer this one to Homecoming?
I personally, I prefer this to Homecoming. Yeah. I think there are kind of like, I suppose, two reasons. You know, one's a more narrative reason. I do like Homecoming.
Yeah.
But one is, even though this is very much in mourning of Iron Man, definitely does seem like more of a Spider-Man film. Whereas in Homecoming, like it relied on Iron Man quite a lot as a cameo character, and I like Iron Man, but I like Spider-Man more, and I just like him to be his own thing. But I did like Homecoming. I thought it was quite funny. It was it had emotion and heart, and I like the Spider-Man in that. But I'm glad that this is basically a story about can Peter stand on his own 2 feet, and I quite like that. And then from the action point of view as well, I prefer the action and choreography in this film to Homecoming. So yeah.
Right, screenplay then. And obviously the big question that everyone wants to know is when the elementals all morph together at the end to form the big monster, is it more like Power Rangers morphing or is it Voltron? What do you think?
Yes, that's what everybody wants to know. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I think it's more, I don't know, possibly Power Rangers.
Yeah,
because obviously there's that great joke when Mr. Dell, played by JB Smoove, says, "Oh no, they've joined forces like the Power Rangers," and then Martin Starr says, "No, you're thinking of Voltron."
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
Funny,
so like, I only watched like episodes of Voltron like 2 years ago. So I've never watched Voltron before that. So I don't have like the greatest grasp on Voltron. But Power Rangers, they absolutely form together. I'm sorry, Mr. Dell or whatever, you're a complete idiot. I love the line where he says, "What do you think is causing all these creatures to appear?" And he goes, "As a man of science, witches."
Yeah. I love the teachers in this. Oh, they're so funny.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
And obviously now, if you've watched WandaVision, check out our spoiler special that will be coming very soon. We'll be talking witches in that. But anyway, back to Spider-Man Far From Home. I love the sequence on the bus where Peter accidentally initiates the drone strike on Brad on the bus. Because Brad has taken a picture of Peter with his pants down with a Fury person. You can't really call her a Shield agent because Shield is no longer around. Yeah. I love the way like the script entangles Peter trying to talk to his friends and Edith at the same time, and it's like, "Do you want to cancel the airstrike, Peter?" I was like, and then someone asks him, "Did you just punch Flash?" I'm like, "No." And then they carries on with the drone strike. It's quite brilliant, that scene, I thought.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then he's like, "Look, baby man and goats."
Jumps up.
And of course, for some reason, baby mountain goats are really cute. I'm like, okay.
Like, literally anybody could have turned around at that point and seen him land after going like 6 feet in the air. Out of the roof, Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was it.
Yeah, and the coach is moving. He wouldn't have landed. I'm pretty sure he doesn't use his webs to come back.
No, he just uses gravity. Yeah, that was a very strange scene.
Yeah. One of my favourite moments is obviously when you realise that they've not rewritten Mysterio's character. He is a villain. And I love the way Quentin Beck is like trying to trick Peter into giving him the Edith glasses. Because obviously the scene before, after the fight with the lava guy, Nick Fury gives him shit about, he wants more from Spider-Man. He's giving him shit about it. You've got to step up like Iron Man would have, handled the situation a lot better. And, Beck is very clever. He recognizes that. And he's very careful not to use the word Spider-Man. He very much talks to him as Peter Parker. He's got the what do they call the black suit? Spider
Monkey.
Night Monkey.
Night Monkey, that's it. Night Monkey, yeah.
Beck says to him, "What do you want, Peter Parker? What does Peter Parker want?" He tells Peter, and he's very specific. He doesn't say, "What does Spider-Man want?" He says, "What does Peter Parker want?" And he says, "I want to go back on my trip with my friends." And then, and then, it goes on further, and he eventually gives Edith to Quentin Beck, which is really clever writing, I think, just for Beck to prey on, well, not prey, but convince him to give him his glasses because, be a kid. You don't need to be a superhero anymore. Be Peter Parker, not Spider-Man. Yeah. Whereas obviously at the end, Jon Favreau is like, no, be Spider-Man. Yeah. You're really good as Spider-Man. Don't try and be Iron Man, be Spider-Man. it's a great scene, but I remember when we came out of the cinema, we were kind of talking about, because we're obviously comic book nerds, we know Mysterio is a bad guy. And obviously the marketing with this film going in, Mysterio is very much shown as a hero. And we certainly got the sense that we're just basically waiting until the film reveals that Mysterio is a villain. And I was kind of saying that it was certainly more of a producer-controlled thing, maybe, with the storytelling in that, in revealing Mysterio like that.
My kind of 2 cents on it is I liked the flow of the story, and I liked the reveal at the midway point and things like that. But as I was saying to you when we were watching it, like, it's very effective if you don't know the character. So I have it with people who are completely clueless about like Spider-Man lore and what have you, and they were very surprised, in the halfway point. It's like, and the way it's done is, he seems very genuinely a good guy. There doesn't seem to be any hint that this is bad and that he's evil or whatever. And then the reveal is like a complete character flip around. And if you didn't know the character and the way the film's promoted, you'd be genuinely surprised. If you have any knowledge of the character whatsoever, it's not a surprise at all. You can see it from a mile away. My only thing is whether they were going to go down that route because it was very predictable. If you knew the character. And that's the route they went down. Me personally, what I would have done differently so that it would have been a surprise for the casual viewer as well as
comic book nerds
would be to make his superhero persona a different character that nobody's really heard. And then the reveal, he dons, the Mysterio-looking stuff. So I was trying to think of, like, films where they have done something like that. The only one I could think of, there's probably a few examples. The only one I could really think of was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Do you remember that?
Okay.
With,
yes, terrible. Terrible.
I think I have a more positive outlook on it because I watched it when I was, like, 10 or something. I watched it when I was really young, so...
It just makes me sad that that's Sean Connery's last film.
It's his last film, yeah, because not many people liked it. But
live action, anyway.
Yeah, live action. But anyway, in that film, the only reason I'm mentioning it is the villain in that is Moriarty, but through most of the film, and he's actually the lead, he's pretending to be a good guy. But in his good guy persona, he's M. He's going by the name M. And only later it's like, I'm Moriarty. Now, I don't know jack shit about Sherlock Holmes, so that meant absolutely fuck all to me. But if you were a Sherlock Holmes nerd, it would be like a surprise for both of you. Yeah. So, that's kind of what I would have done instead. That's, I think, my only like major.
I mean, would you have an existing superhero persona that people would recognize and then have him turn into a Mysterio or someone completely original? In the costume or whatever.
Yeah. I think you could do it with like an original character. There was a whole thing, I don't know if you played like, Arkham Knight and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they invented the character of like the Arkham Knight, and it's like, who's the Arkham Knight? Who's the Arkham Knight?
Oh, yeah.
And then when it's revealed who it is, then he dons like the Red Hood garb, because he's basically Red Hood from the comics. But, they created a persona to start with, and then once the reveal happened, just switch into his old costume.
I think on reflection, I do think they probably did go down the right route in revealing, making Mysterio as a hero at first, and then twisting it to make him the villain at the end. Because I think previous films have done that and failed. I think with keeping his identity a secret
I'm
thinking like Star Trek Into Darkness, where
the whole Khan
Cumberbatch, they were hiding the fact that he was Khan, and then halfway through he reveals, I am Khan.
Yeah.
And then in Spectre, the James Bond film, Christoph Waltz is, Hans Gruber throughout most of it, and then all of a sudden he's apparently related to James Bond in Blofeld, so...
And he's like, my name is Ernst Stavros Blofeld.
I think those films were kind of being too confident of trying to reveal those secrets, whereas this one, I don't think Mysterio is a... I mean, in comics, he is a fairly popular character, but certainly in general... mass audiences, I don't think Mysterio's a big villain, I think it does work.
Yeah, but I think the main problem is just that the twist gets out very easily. Like, if you didn't know, like, people coming into this film were telling me stuff about Mysterio, and I wasn't sure whether I should just be like, oh, he's a hero with all these powers. It's like, no, he's a villain that uses, like, deceit and illusions and stuff. And then that kind of just gives the game away. You can just do a very quick Google search, or people can in the comments. And
yeah, exactly.
I do understand what you mean, because you said, and that makes sense, where other franchises tried this of introducing a franchise villain, but not wanting to spoil who that villain was. Like you said, Star Trek Into Darkness with Khan, and just like renaming him until the halfway point that it's a surprise, or with Stavros Blofeld. And yeah, I suppose I do see that they even tried that, and then fans of those franchises could still see through all that crap. And we're able to spoil it.
I think it still works in this film.
I think it works, yeah.
Because Mysterio's an illusionist anyway, so it works.
Yeah, no, I think it works. I do like the twist. It's just the fact that my only problem is, and I mean, they stick to it of like, oh yeah, no, he's definitely a good guy, and even in the interviews and stuff, if you watch like interviews with Jake Gyllenhaal, he sticks with the charade. Everybody does. But and I do like the reveal in the film, and it's super effective, and it's great if you're watching it with a person that doesn't know the character. My only problem is, me personally, I saw it coming, like basically when the character was introduced, because I know who the hell the character is. And maybe if there had been more of an attempt to sort of disguise that, it would have been better for me. I'm just saying it would have been a more effective twist.
Yeah.
It was done well, but because I had prior knowledge, I would have had him be a different character, and then reveal.
Yeah, let's move on to the... I made a long list of all the funny lines that I picked out. There's so many great stuff. I'll try and rattle through some. There's one Peter says to Beck when he first meets him in Venice. He's like, and he's wearing the clown mask, and he says, "I can help. I'm really strong and I'm sticky." Then after hearing that Fury wants Peter to go to Prague, and he says, "Oh, this all sounds like big-time superhero kind of stuff, and I'm just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man." And he says, "Bitch, please, you've been to space!" And then after the lava dude fight, Betty says to Ned, "Oh, I would totally kiss you right now, but I think I just threw up in my mouth a little." And then Ned's like, "Oh, I have a mint, I think."
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, and then at the end, Beck is, talking to all his team, and the guy and the girl, like, ironing his cape, and he's just like, "Get those wrinkles out. I literally could be shaking hands with the Queen soon."
Yeah, that was funny.
But some of my favorites are from Jon Favreau. I fucking love Jon Favreau in this film. I think he's hilarious.
Jon Favreau's
There's the bit when he's in Tower Bridge, and Happy tries to, they're being cornered by the drone, and they as they go through the door to the next room, like he throws one of the shields, the knight's shields, at one of the drones, and it obviously drops like really short. And he says, "Oh, how the hell does Cap do that?"
Yeah, that was good. I'm in love with Spider-Man's aunt.
Yeah,
that was good.
And he's like, "What? We were sharing."
Yeah, I think my favorite Jon Favreau line was actually where Peter is freaking out because he doesn't know what's real anymore, and he's got Happy there, and he's like, "Just tell me something only you would know. Stay back," because he thinks it might be an illusion.
Yeah.
And Jon Favreau is like, "You remember that time where in Germany I got a hotel room for you, and I checked the pricing, and I could tell that you had watched an adult movie, and I could tell because of..." And it's like, da-da-da-da-da-da. It's fine because of the title of the movie. So it's official, Spider-Man watches porn. He's
dirty bastard.
He's a human. Yeah, I mean, it's where yeah, I suppose. Yeah, he's squirting more fluid than just from his hands.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to lower the tone.
Yeah. Of course.
I mean,
man.
Just because he has the line, and he's sticky.
Yeah. I actually like the line where they said, "How's your new suit?" And he's like, "It's tight in the old web shooter," but it's yeah. So Spider-Man's a sick freak just like me. So I'm not alone.
But yeah, there's familiarity there.
Yeah.
But I think one of my favorite characters is Ned. Near the start, I think my favorite line is when Peter finds out Ned and Betty are together after they land in Venice in the airport, and Peter asks, like, "Whatever happened to being American bachelors in Europe?" And Ned says, "Peter, those were the words of a boy." And that boy met a woman, a very strong and powerful woman, and now that boy is a man. Coming, babe.
Yeah, that was funny.
It's just brilliant, that relationship between, well, Peter and Ned, and then Ned and Betty is just fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, no.
You got a favourite line then? Or?
Oh, man. Yeah. Bitch, please, you've been to space. That's a good one. That's really
Got to have a Sam Jackson one.
Yeah, you're going to have a Sam Jackson. The Witches one, I thought that was quite funny. Or like Flash, why do you like Spider-Man? He's just really cool. He sticks up for the people and I respect him. You're right, Dickwad? Like when he talks to Peter. I like that. There's a lot of cool lines.
I do hope like Flash learns that he is Spider-Man.
Oh man, that would just blow his mind.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
My score then for screenplay, I think it's great. And again, I'm not sure it's as good as Homecoming. Certainly, it's this very classic story that we've seen time and time again of Peter trying to look up to Iron Man, and he has all this pressure on him. Does the world think Spider-Man's going to be the next Iron Man? Should he be Iron Man? But no, he just needs to be himself, trying to, this whole conflict of he's trying to be someone else, but no, just be yourself, that kind of thing. So, I don't know, I'll go a solid 8, I think.
I think I agree with you 100%. I would have gone a solid 8. It does feel like an 8, yeah.
Right, acting then. There's a lot of great subtle moments, actually, from all the actors. There's a little great montage sequence of Peter in the plane in the toilet where he comes out and sees MJ there and he's like, oh shit, and then literally like walks back into the door into the toilet, and he like cleans the toilet and then checks his hair, practices his smile, and then he comes out and then Brad's there just waving like frantically, and it's just quite funny, that bit. Great comic acting from all three of them there.
Yeah.
Again, Martin Starr, who plays Mr. Harrington, is hilarious. And I mean, man, when he puts the camera on the fence in Venice, you're like, yep, he's going to drop that in the water. That's pretty obvious that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that was great.
You got any good acting moments for you?
I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I think him being like a new mentor figure to Peter, and then ultimate betrayal and going full on mustache twirling supervillain. It's just brilliant. I like that.
Yeah, that grin he gives when the reveal is made.
Yeah.
When he says, see, that wasn't so hard.
Yeah, that was funny.
It was great. And then you go through all that like exposition, of their plan and stuff. I thought that was quite well done, actually. It didn't take too long. It's, nice and pacey, and Gyllenhaal's just really compelling in that moment.
Yeah. I do like how they handled like Mysterio, that he's actually like he's basically the actor and director in a film production company. It's like you got makeup, you got the script guy, you got this. I like that. It's like a meta commentary on making a movie.
I would have loved it actually if Hydra Man and the Lava Dude were actually real, and they were literally like talking to those two as well. It's like, oh, how do you want me to splash the guy? Too much, not too much, or whatever.
Yeah, that would
don't burn my nice hair, man.
Yeah,
I got too much gel in this hair. I take good care of it.
Yeah, that would have been great.
There's no illusions with that hair.
Yeah, that would have been pretty amazing.
That would have been hilarious. One of my fauvorite bits is actually from Jon Favreau. Like after the Hydra Man fight, he phones home. He phones Aunt May, and he discovers Happy's there at her office, and Aunt May gives him the phone, or puts it on speaker, and he says, "Oh, don't worry, I'm really taking care of your aunt." And then Jon Favreau just closes his eyes like, "Oh shit, I shouldn't have said that."
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm giving it to her.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm really taking care of your aunt. Oh god. It's a brilliant moment. I mean, his comic timing in acting, Jon Favreau, is amazing. For me, Jon Favreau is my favourite performance, actually, in the film.
Yeah.
It's really funny. He's got the best lines, and he's also really touching in the scene with Tom, on the plane where he's trying to, when he's saying, don't try and be Iron Man, be Spider-Man, be who you are, not try and be someone else, know. So, who's your favourite performance?
I think I'll go. Yeah, Jon Favreau's up there. Actually, I do agree with you, but I think I'd go like Jake Gyllenhaal. I think.
Cool.
Yeah, I just like how he kind of portrays the character. He does seem like especially when the reveal is, he seems like a diva, like just like a regular sort of asshole sort of actor. Who's got to get it their way and everything. So I quite like that. Tom Holland. I think any scene where he has to cry, he's like the master of. I'm serious. Like, if you need him, need him to cry, just like, Tom, we need you to be a little bitch at this moment. It's like, yeah, he can get really sad, and especially on the parts where he's like, where he's talking to Happy and, he's just been beaten down and all that. And, he's freaking out a bit before, as you were saying, like, Jon Favreau's great performance of just reassuring him.
Yeah, everyone's great. Like Zendaya, the scene between Zendaya, who plays MJ, and Tom Holland. When Zendaya finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, the projector goes off. That's a great scene there between those two. Really, really impulsive. It doesn't feel scripted at all. Really great between those two. Right, acting score for me, I'll probably go 8.2. How about you, sir? Yeah. Mr. Encyclopedia Man. We should really say you're the comic book encyclopedia man. Really, not just generally encyclopedic.
Well, I don't know, maybe. I'm not sure. Now you're downplaying me.
Well, every time I ask you about comic book stuff, you usually know the answer. So
yeah, pretty much. I'm like super into comic books. Comic books and history are my two like big things.
Yeah. So acting score.
Like 8.1. Oh, I also love the post-credit scene, one of my favorite post-credit scenes ever. And it's one of those...
Talos is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get two for the price of one. You get two post-credit scenes, and they're each just amazing. And what's crazy is, like, if you don't watch those post-credit scenes, they probably shouldn't have been post-credit scenes. Because anybody that got up and left has missed a huge part of the plot in both of them.
Right, let's do the scores for Spider-Man Far From Home. So, Spider-Man Far From Home gets 49.6.
Cool.
Unfortunately, it loses out to The Impossible that gets 54.5, which...
It was impossible to beat.
Yeah, it certainly was. There's no shame in that from Spider-Man, I don't think. Right, that's it for this week's podcast. Next week, we'll be doing Zack Snyder films, as he's got a nice... little independent film called Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is 4 hours long.
Yeah.
It should be available on video on demand at a price, I would imagine. Be interesting what Zack Snyder films we pick. Bit of a mixed bag, I think, from Zack Snyder. He has got another film out this year called Army of the Dead, going back to zombies, which looks really cool as well. Yeah, I
need to really look over his filmography, because... I'm not really sure, with Zack Snyder films. I just know, mainly his DC ones. He's had a foray, or whatever the hell the word is. I'm trying to sound posh and doing a horrible job at it. But his, his experiments in the DC universe. So he did Watchmen, which is DC property, ages ago, even before the DCEU. Watchmen, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and the Justice League. So
300.
And 300, yeah. Yeah, I forgot that, but that's not really a DC thing. But yeah, so those films I know. Those films I know.
Comic book.
Yeah, those films I know. Cool. It's a comic book thing.
This is Sparta, not Scotland.
Scotland, yeah.
Because it was Gerard Butler.
Yeah, it was Gerard Butler. Yeah.
Anyway, right, that's it. Thank you, Boaz, as ever. You've been rather good, and we'll see you next time.
You've been terrible and shit, so,
As always. Yes, mate. Bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to find out more about the podcast or suggest future topics for us to discuss related to upcoming releases, let us know on Instagram at Film vs. Film Podcast or on Twitter at FVF_podcast. Remember, please subscribe. Pod signing off. Thank you.